Hello and welcome to another one of my LinkedIn for Lawyers videos, and today we're going to talk about the algorithm, content and hashtags. Reminder of every action has a reaction and the ripple effect that we're trying to create. So visualize throwing pebbles into a pond and it's those ripples through your network that we are trying to create. However, we need to understand the intention and the purpose that we want to create by being on LinkedIn. And that's back to those 4 points, which I said in my introduction video. Remain front of mind of your existing clients, get front of mind of net new, could be net new existing, net new, network around an organization or a conversation, and then position yourself as a subject matter expert. A reminder, those first 3 are likes and comments. And the final piece is around posting on LinkedIn. So what you need to give consideration of is that everything that you see in your newsfeed is based on your engagement and engagement with others. So if you like someone's post, they will see what you're doing. And then if you were to post a piece of content, it is more likely that LinkedIn will put that post into their newsfeed because you sent a signal. This could be a comment, this could be a repost, this could be a recent connection acceptance, this could be a message that you sent to a direct connection. All these little things create triggers. So if you're landing into LinkedIn and you think, oh, not them again, or my newsfeed isn't relevant, but you're very passive, you're then giving no signals to LinkedIn as to where you want to be seen. The same goes for your contacts. If you're not engaging with your contacts, then it's likely that you're not necessarily going to be seen in their newsfeed. So with this in mind, you need to think of how are we going to get this to work in your favor. So first and foremost, it always defaults to top, which is what LinkedIn thinks is going to be most interest to you at that time. You can flip to recent, and then this is chronological within what's happening across LinkedIn. Every single post has these 3 dots. You may recall the 3 dots on your own post to feature, but if you click on someone else's post, you can do a number of things. I don't want to see this, I want to unfollow, remove, mute, etc., etc. So you have complete control over your newsfeed. And then other considerations of what's happening on LinkedIn. If you like a post, then just the author gets a notification. If you comment on a post, then everybody that gets a notification. So you can click on these here, and this will show you the people that have engaged with this post. So if I were to drop a comment on this post, all these people will get a notification that I have commented on that post. And this is where you can use the comment strategy to your favor. But even if you are super engaged by liking or commenting on your contacts or clients and potential clients' posts, your newsfeed will still, to a certain extent, become a bit of an echo chamber because the algorithm wants to consistently please you, if you will, make sure that it's serving the right content into your newsfeed. So you're still going to be missing, a huge proportion of what's happening. And thanks to research by the likes of Richard van der Blom, rule is that roughly 10% of your network sees what's happening at any given time. So 1,000 connections follows 100 people, 2,200, etc., etc. So how do we then go and find there's other conversations that are happening? And this is where hashtags come into your help. A hashtag, in simple terms, is a label. So to find the different labels, I come into search here and type in hashtag banking, for example, and you can see the different banking conversations. So let's click banking as a topic. And then what we see here is a completely new feed that opens up, 285,000 followers. So if you operate in the banking sector, I would follow banking. And now we see a completely different conversation that is going on. And you also start to see that people who are miles out of your network, so Umesh here, Third Plus, I'm now seeing Umesh's content, or Ron in terms of CRO at Cornerstone Advisors. Now, what I could do here, for example, if Ron was a potential target or a useful influencer within this space, I could drop a like, or we can see the conversations that are happening, and then we can go, I can do something simple like, thanks for sharing, exclamation mark, click post. And now, until this moment in time, Ron didn't know I existed as a human being, nor did the 29 other people also get a notification that I've done that thing. So I've networked around all those people. If I were to then post a piece of content saying our latest research shows X, Y, Z, there's a higher propensity that this will land in Ron's newsfeed. So this is what we now need to think about. Every like and comment, in terms of that ripple effect, every action creates a reaction. How are we doing this? I could do different subjects like ESG, for example, and then go and find the conversations that are happening around ESG. The same principles apply. 50,000 followers, and then the idea is, where it makes sense, is to drop a like or a comment on an individual's post to introduce yourself to them. It could be somebody that you know. Have in the back of your mind, every action creates a reaction. Once you start to engage in the conversations that you want to be seen in from an industry perspective, you could do from a legal perspective, you type in litigation or mergers and acquisitions or real estate finance, etc., etc. In the legal ones, typically what we're going to see is other law firms and law firm lawyers, I should say, or attorneys that are appearing in this conversation and related to that. And then typically, if you are visible in this conversation, then these individuals are going to be more front of mind than those that are not, because you're passive you're not engaging through likes and comments. So this is where I suggest working with your marketing team or your BD function to help you understand what sort of hashtags you should be searching and looking at. But typically it's from an industry perspective, or it's going to be from a legal advisory perspective. The other thing you can do is you can also think about how you might look at the hashtags that your clients are using. So let's take HSBC, for example. So I'll go to the HSBC company page. You can also use this comment tactic in the same way. So if I click view page, you may see the hashtags that HSBC social media team are using, which could be of interest to you to go and follow those conversations or see what they're posting about. It can also then help you understand what conversations that are going to be of interest to them. So I click on see more, we can see quantum or cybercrime. So there you could then maybe follow the cybercrime conversation. And the same principles, if you were to like this post, just the social media team at HSBC get the notification. But if you were to comment on this post, interesting update, you could even add that we have some research related to this, or we've got a webinar coming up to this, through to actually taking people to the website. But the 561 people that have engaged on this post all get a notification that you've done that thing, and we can see straight away, senior person HSBC. So think about where it makes sense to drop comments to create that trigger effect of networking around the conversation, either at a corporate level or at a conversational level. You start to do more of this. And this is when you start to shift your newsfeed and what you start to see, and then shift where you are appearing in the conversation. So start to think about those three dots to tidy up your feed, and then engage with your clients' posts, but at an individual level. Engage with people that you want to start to get to know and see. And the other aspect of hashtags is making sure you use hashtags when you post. So you would start a post, and then the sort of things that you want to be thinking about is reflecting on a conversation you had that week with a particular client. You wouldn't necessarily mention the client by name, but it could be a fascinating conversation or interesting conversation with the general counsel in the banking sector around cyber resilience. And these are the top things that we discussed. What do you think? What are you seeing? Invite people into that conversation. All through to, of course, purposing or repurposing your corporate content. But if you're going to do that, give your readers a reason to read it. The top three things in our research say this. If you are a general counsel in the FS space, our ESG results say why, rather than just a repost with no context behind why anybody should read it. More personal posts tend to get better engagement, and make sure there's some context behind that, rather than just saying a personal post for personal reasons. But of course, you can share personal posts for personal reasons if you feel comfortable in doing that. The key aspect then, though, is to make sure that you are adding the related hashtags to your posts. Because if you're not adding the hashtags to your posts, then your post will stay in there in your main feed. And remember, we talked about that 10% roughly is what you want to have in your mind. But if you add the related hashtags to your posts, especially if you've got your talks about section on your profile, then an example of how this works. If I come to my posts here, I'm going to click this post here when it comes through. That then enables you to move those posts around. So let's just do this one here, for example. So I've added sales, I think, in this one. So if I hadn't added sales, it will stay just in my newsfeed. But if I click on sales, then you can see that I've moved my post into the sales feed, which has close to 6 million followers. So this is how you can then start to move your profile, your personal brand, if you will, around the different conversations. Typically, I advise adding up to 5 hashtags per post. On my videos, I tend to only add one hashtag, but in my other posts, I normally add 5 hashtags to the post. And this then means that you can move around those 5 different conversations. You start to do this consistently in terms of adding those hashtags that are related to what you do, and you post consistently. And by posting consistently, I mean 2-3 times a week in an ideal scenario. But if it's just once a week with those hashtags, and then you engage in a like and a comment approach with your intended audience, so existing clients, people you'd like to be clients, what then happens, that starts to shift the behavior of your algorithm. That starts to shift you into the right conversations and the right eyeballs. And this genuinely can become a 2-minute a day exercise. Just first thing in the morning, zipping through your feed, seeing what's happening, drop likes and comments on people's posts where it makes sense you're connected to, not connected to. Have a quick look in your hashtags from time to time, maybe once a week, to see those conversations that are happening. Create awareness, create visibility, back to dropping pebbles into a pond. If you think every like and comment and post is like dropping a pebble into the LinkedIn pond, creating those multiple ripples, which then makes you visible to your intended audience.